For years and years, electric vehicles were presented to us as the revolution that the car industry had always wanted. Thanks to companies like Tesla, EVs were transformed into this cool subset of vehicles that could pretty much supercharge your swag and also help you cater to the needs of the environment. Of course, this isn't to say that there weren't challenges with EVs from the start. But like every industry, manufacturers of these cars have always had a way of bouncing back and thriving. Well, there's a new challenge on the block, and it's one that could threaten the very future of the industry if nothing is done about it. In February 2019, Dr. Omar Awan, a medical practitioner based in Florida, was driving his Tesla Model S when he crashed it into a palm tree in Broward County, South Florida. While he had survived the initial crash, things took a fatal turn when the vehicle's lithium-ion battery caught fire. The vehicle was instantly engulfed in flames, with Awan inside frantically trying to get out. You might think that this would be the end of it, but no. You see, Teslas have special door handles that sit flush to the body of the vehicles. When the vehicle is moving, the doors retract into it, but when it stops, they pop out so people can enter and exit. In Awan's case, though, the Tesla handles did not pop out. Bystanders were left shocked to find that they were unable to enter the car to pull Awan out of the flames, and he was also unable to get out. When first responders arrived at the scene, they were further shocked to see that none of the Tesla's backup safety mechanisms, which included the handles and the windows, didn't seem to work right. Awan sadly lost his life. But while there seem to be many things that were wrong here, one particularly is troubling: the fact that the Tesla literally caught fire. To make things worse, this is definitely not an isolated incident. Last year, surveillance footage from a parking lot in Shanghai, China, captured the moment when a Tesla suddenly caught fire without seemingly coming across any form of an accelerant. Fortunately, no one was hurt as the car was empty. Still, this incident alone was enough to trigger an investigation. These instances just keep popping up. According to a source, there were almost 400 verified EV passenger battery fires reported across the world from 2010 to June 2023. So you see, it's not just a Tesla problem. It's an issue that's facing EVs everywhere. Even crazier is the fact that it's not just electric vehicles themselves catching fire. E-bikes, e-scooters, everything's going up in flames. It's almost like if a vehicle or mode of transportation has an electric component to it, it automatically qualifies as a ticking time bomb. To be fair, vehicle fires aren't a new thing. In 2020 alone, there were a reported 173,000 highway vehicle fires, with 580 fatalities and over $1.5 billion in property damage in the United States alone. But when EVs catch fire, trust me, it's a different case entirely. The major issue with EVs and fire is their batteries. As we all know, EVs run on lithium-ion batteries. These batteries are known for their lightweight frame, as well as their power capacity and ability to last pretty long. The issue, though, is that these batteries are incredibly volatile. The major reason why these lithium-ion batteries have gotten so popular is that they have been incredibly modified over the years. And one of the ways to do this was to reduce the space between the battery's electrodes. The problem is that this also raises the risk of a fire, as the liquid electrolyte could get into the thermal runaway, resulting in the fire. EV manufacturers have done their best to ensure proper quality in their batteries, and for the most part, these batteries can be safe. But as you can imagine, no process is perfect. And when an anomaly occurs, boom! If a lithium-ion battery catches fire, trust me, you have a real problem on your hands. These fires tend to burn hotter and longer, and putting them out is incredibly difficult. To make things worse, there's not so much education out there for firefighters who want to help out. They pretty much just get their fire hoses and point them at the fires. But as you can imagine, this can take much longer, and lives could easily be at stake. In June 2021, a Tesla Model S Plaid spontaneously combusted while the owner was literally driving it. The local fire department claimed that they had to pour water on the vehicle for over 2 hours just to put it out. Can you imagine how crazy that must have been? Think the battery issue is the only one that needs to be addressed? Well, Not particularly. A few weeks ago, Consumer Reports shared an EV reliability report, which showed that EVs are having about 80% more repair problems compared to gas-powered vehicles. The issues varied, ranging from challenges with charging systems to problems with part fittings and much more. To make things worse, hybrid cars had an even lower score, with 150% more issues compared to gasoline vehicles. This isn't much of a surprise, though these cars have the task of combining EV components with internal combustion engines, so you can imagine that they're not getting a fair shake. All of these issues raised still don't capture some of the other problems that EVs have. For one, repairing these cars can be pretty expensive. If your EV's battery pack is defective, you could very well spend the same amount of money needed to buy a new car on repairing it alone. And even if you have insurance, there's a low chance that your insurance company would want to be saddled with such a bill. And we still haven't spoken about issues with charging. Sure, living in an urban area like New York or California means that you will most likely be surrounded by EV charging infrastructure. But with these cars not having considerable range and charging stations still not being evenly distributed, there's still a lot of work to do to ensure that people will be able to use EVs anywhere. Imagine taking your EV on a long road trip, only to have it stop working in the middle of nowhere, and you're trapped without phone access or a charging station nearby. All of these issues just go to show that while EVs are lauded for their innovative, eco-friendly build, manufacturers still have their work cut out for them. To be fair, it is worth noting that EV battery fires aren't necessarily common. The major issue is that these fires are deadlier than other types, and they tend to involve human casualties more often than not. EVs have already been heralded as the future of the automotive space, but for them to really gain the adoption that they seek, there's a need for them to really get better. It's especially worse as the demand for these vehicles is now really starting to dwindle. Last year, Tesla cut the prices of several of its flagship vehicles multiple times. At the same time, Audi and BMW are giving discounts to the tune of $10,000 on their EVs, while the CEO of Mercedes-Benz was caught in an interview admitting that the EV market is currently very brutal. The benefit of these discounts is that EVs will be cheaper for people to purchase. But if these safety challenges aren't addressed, then we won't really be making much in terms of developments, would we? It's pretty much just a case of dancing around a problem without actually addressing its source. So if you have an EV and are probably scared about the potential of a fire, what can you do? Well, the first line of defense will be to be very vigilant when it comes to charging. Make sure you don't leave your vehicle unattended for long periods while it charges, especially overnight. The battery could deteriorate, or its temperature could rise to an unhealthy level. Also, be careful not to use any damaged charging equipment or infrastructure. If you notice any fraying or wearing on your charging cord, then you might want to replace it. Make sure not to charge your car in a confined space as well, and make sure that you regularly get your EV checked, especially when it comes to things like the battery's health. The earlier you're able to detect any issues, the better for you. So, there we have it. EVs are the future of the automobile industry, but I think it's safe to say that they still need some work. What do you think, though? Will you be buying any EVs soon? Or is this an investment you'd be passing on? Let us know in the comments.